Hello everyone. This is going to be a little tutorial video to explain some of the procedures we follow during an op session on the Cumberland, Ohio Valley, and particularly how to interpret the car card and waybill system for switching. So if you're a first-time visitor or one of the regular crew, the first thing you'll do when you arrive is come over to the call board and sign up for the trains that you would like to run. So this is a comprehensive list of all of our trains. Starting at the top, they are in order of run. Starting with 132 at the top of the left-hand column, working our way down to 88 on the lower right column. So if, for example, you needed to leave early for some reason, you could sign up for the earlier jobs of the evening and be ensured that you would finish your work before you had to leave. But each space is designated with an L or a U, which indicates if it is a lower mainline or upper mainline train. For those that may be vertically challenged, but we do have step stools to help with that situation. But you would sign up, and then as dispatcher, I will call the trains in order. And once your train is called, you would come to me and I would give you a clipboard with all the information for your train. So let's take a look at that. So I would give you a clipboard. If you were running train 78, I'd give you this one. And you'll find on the right your engine number and all of the related decoder information for that particular engine or engines. And more importantly, it'll give you information about the work that the train does. So you'll have a originating and terminating staging yard listed, and then a list of towns that your train will go through. If there are industries to be switched in any of the towns, they'll be listed here. And if there's no work, it will be noted as well. So the first thing you would want to do with this is find your originating staging yard. So this one is Middlesboro, Kentucky. So it just so happens to be located right here, right by the door. But let's take just a little quick look at where all of them are located. So Middlesboro is a 5-track staging yard. And right across the door is the Cumberland, Maryland staging yard, which is 4 tracks, and it can be sort of monitored through some openings in the fascia there. Then also underneath Colton is Pittsburgh, which emerges from this point, also a 5-track staging yard. And then the 4th and final lower staging yard is for Columbus, Ohio. And it will emerge from this point. Will eventually be a tunnel portal. And it also has openings in the fascia so you can observe and monitor what's going on with your train. And that one's just a 3-track staging yard that doesn't generate a lot of traffic. But above that one are 2 more, and they will facilitate the upper main line. The back 3 tracks is Richmond, Virginia, and the 3 tracks toward the front is Portsmouth, Ohio. So 6 altogether. So let's say that we are going to run train 78, and we need to be at the Middlesboro, Kentucky staging yard, which was right here. So what do you do now? Well, you need to find your stack of cards, car cards for your train. So nearby the entrance to the staging yard, you'll find a car card rack that is designated for each staging yard and the tracks that are in there. So we mentioned this one has 5 tracks, and you'll find different bundles of car cards. Now we're looking for, as you recall, train 78 is listed on our clipboard. So we just need to find the matching bundle. and they are numbered on the little binder clips just to make it easy to identify. You don't really need to be concerned about what track they're on. That's more for me with restaging the train and as dispatcher, but you just look for the bundle that's got the matching numbers, and that's all you need to be worried about. So once we have this stack and we are cleared for departure by the dispatcher, we'll pull our train out, and we need to verify that each of these cars is in fact in our train. So why don't we just do a little practice run with one of the upper level trains, and I'll show you how you actually read and understand the information on the cards. All right, let me show you too, while I'm thinking about it, the exit points for the two upper main lines. The one that was the staging track for Portsmouth, Ohio, comes out of the tunnel portal to the right. That's here by the Valentine coal tipple number 2. And then the one for Richmond, Virginia, comes out of this tunnel portal that crosses the bridge here. So I'm going to take out train number 101, which is the Richmond turn west. And as you can see, it originates from Richmond. So this is going to be my exit point right here. So what I need to do now is look for the car card rack for that staging yard. And here it is close by, Richmond. And I'm looking for train 101. So here are my cards for that train. So once the dispatcher gives me the all clear, I'll proceed out onto the main and we'll check these cards. All right, so I've been given clearance to come out on the main from the dispatcher. And my first town to switch is Stanton, which just so happens to be the one that I'm heading into. So the first thing I want to do is actually clear this tunnel so that I can verify that all of the cars in the train are in my deck of car cards. So you kind of come across the bridge there. All right, that should be good. And let's take a look and make sure that all the cars in the train are in my stack of car cards. So I've gone through all of my cards here, and they do in fact match up with all of the cars in my consist. So let's talk a little bit about how this whole system works. So basically, in a nutshell, anything that you're carrying around with you are set outs. Any of the things that are located in any of these boxes at each town are your pickups. So, for example, we go into town and you'll notice that we have these different colored bars at the top of the cars. Those are your set out destinations, towns or staging yards. And they should be blocked correctly in order of the towns that you'll encounter them. So for example, you notice all the ones for Stanton are marked black. Let's kind of separate them here. All the ones that are going to Colton are red. All the ones that are going to Haggard are gray. And then we have a whole bunch that are yellow. And yellow is offline industries. In other words, these are all businesses that are located off the physical layout, represented by staging. So if you see a yellow, then the only thing you need to worry about is the next bar, which is where it's going. And that in this case, as it says on all of them, since it's our termination point, Portsmouth, Ohio. And it'll say that on the clipboard that you have, that is your termination point. So since these are offline, we don't have to worry about switching these at all. They're just basically along for the ride. The train will eventually put them out, fictionally at these particular industries, but we don't have to worry about anything in yellow. So I'm just going to set these aside for a minute, and let's look at the ones that we do have to fool with. So excuse me here if I jiggle a little bit on you. I'm trying to stay on a tripod so I don't shake so much. So our first town of Stanton, if we look at the card, let's just take this first one, for example, this box car here. It will tell us where we're headed, Stanton, West Virginia, to the industry. So this is a Baron Gold. This is another Baron Gold tannery. And then this last one is a Vogue Furniture. And since my layout is under construction, there's a lot of industries that are just kit walls that are just sort of leaned up against each other. So if there's no identifying name on the building, I just put a little place card holder to help you basically tell where you're headed. Then you're going to see really a lot of information that's more for the detail of it, but it really doesn't have any bearing on your work during an op session. And that is where it's coming from. In this case, we have one from Raleigh, one from Lancaster, and one from Baltimore, and who the shipper is and what the contents of the lading are. So that just gives it a little more interest, but you really don't have to be concerned about it. Really what you're looking for is what industry and what city are we going to. In this case, the via is where we came from. So if there is anything other than offline industry on the top, it will tell you where it's coming from. If it says offline industry, that second color will tell you where it's going to. So these would be our 3 set outs in Stanton. Now, what about pickups? Do we have any pickups in Stanton? Well, for that, we need to move over to our car card box. And each town has one of these. For the bigger industries, some of them actually have their own. The cement plant and the paper mill, for example, actually have their own individual card boxes because there's so many set out points. There's 5 tracks in each of those. So they have their own box. But for a smaller town like this, each industry is basically a 1-track spur. So we have Rawlings Millwork, which according to our clipboard is not one of our set out points. We have Vogue Furniture, which is, and Baron Gold, which is. So anything in a box is going to be a pickup. And really, because we don't pick up something and set it out on the layout, in other words, the to and from isn't on the physical layout because the distances would be so close. All of your pickups are basically going to offline industries, which means you're going to be seeing a second color to tell you which staging yard you're going to. Should match up with what's on your clipboard, but it's there just for verification. So let's look at this Vogue Furniture one, for example. So we've got this one going to Wayne, Michigan, and it contains furniture. So when you pick up a car, you're going to include this in your stack. You're going to take this and put it in your stack of cards. Anything that you set out, let's say here we have our Vogue Furniture card that we're setting out. Once you set that car out, it goes in the box. So pickups get picked up, set outs get set out. Couldn't be much more simple than that. So that way, when the next operator comes through, if he doesn't see offline industry, he knows this has already been switched, and it wouldn't be on his list of things to do anyway. But that also makes it a little more clear. So if you do see something other than yellow, you'll know someone has already dealt with that particular industry in another train. So do not worry about switching these waybills around That's something I do between sessions. It's a 4-cycle. So there's the part I'll flip for the next session. But when I do those, I'm going to just assume this is the move that was just made recently, and I'll do all the switching. So now we should have our pickup in our packet and all of our, here's the 2 that go to Baron Gold. So we'll just assume I just did that move. So now there's all my set outs. Here are my pickups. I'm now gonna include those in my list of cards here. And then they can be clipped together and I can continue on to the next town. So the next one would be Colton. And depending on how you switch these, you may have them further back in the deck, depending on how you split your train apart to cut the cars. But this would be our next one. We just repeat the same process around through Colton, Haggard, until we end up back in our staging yard. So what I do as I move is I'll just put my clip on this clipboard and use this little part at the top to hold them. That just makes less for me to carry around as I'm moving from town to town. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, each town has a Katie uncoupling pick. Usually it has a couple of them. There's another one down there. And pencil if we ever go with the track warrants. But that's basically the system in a nutshell. Just remember the things that you carry are your set outs, and the ones in the box are the pickups. And let me show you one more thing real quick. I'm going to pull the phone out. Just bear with me here so I don't have to create another segment. You may encounter some special instructions in some of your boxes. Here's a great example here at West Virginia Cement. There's a card here in front of this whole stack. You'll notice these are turned backwards. And you'll see it says, all cars on this track are in the process of being loaded. Do not pick up or move. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So that track is considered occupied and nothing can move on it or off it if you see that card. You may see some other train order cards put in boxes. Those override anything that you may have as you switch. But those are really going to be in industries that have multiple tracks, like the 5-track cement plant. Or I think there's some more over here at the Valentine coal mine. Yeah, so there's a couple of them in there as well. But again, notice that all of these have yellow offline industry set out points. So that should be pretty much the standard for all of the boxes. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit what we do. There's only 1 or 2 trains that actually terminate at Colton Yard here. And at that point, you'll work with the yard master. You'll be under his authority to enter the yard, and he'll tell you what track to enter to terminate your train. But it will say Colton in red if that is your termination point. And I'll do another video strictly that's for yard masters to deal with blocking trains and how we do that. But it's also a color-coded set of instructions. And there are a couple of industries that actually get switched by the yard master, primarily for the engine servicing facility. The coal cars, the coal tower gets switched, as does the cinder conveyor. So there's a little bit of switching that they actually do with some inbound and outbound cars as well. But I'm excited about our op sessions. Hopefully this has been helpful and clarified some things for you, and we'll just continue to grow and to become more expert as we go through the sessions that follow. But hopefully this will get us off the ground anyway. So Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.